Hello, welcome back to the Towel Boy, where we try to give you the cleanest takes in sports. Last episode, we ranked the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Today, we're talking about running backs, the running back position, top 10 running backs in the NFL, in my opinion. Now, I prefaced last video talking about how this is kind of a little bit more just my personal scouting opinion of pretty much just eye test rather than diving deep into analytics, deep into the stats. This is mostly just like if I had to choose three plays and I want a running back, which running backs would I choose? And this is my personal opinion. I think running back, there's more variance for what you look for and what you value. Do you want more splash plays? In that case, you're gonna value like a person like Devon Achan more. If do you value consistency and pass blocking? In that case, you might love a James Conner type, right? Um, so I feel like I do a little bit of both. Obviously, you want the big plays, the huge explosive plays, make a guy elite. But I think consistency is a huge part of being the running back position, right? You want to be able to have a guy that stands out week to week and is able to make plays and produce on a week to week level. So without further ado, I'm about to give my top 10 personal opinions on running backs. Couple honorable mentions just because I want to cheat and give out a couple honorable mentions to guys who I gave thought to, but they didn't quite pan out. Um, Crack the list, but Chuba Hubbard last year, everybody knows I really liked what he did last year. He's been able to produce whenever he had chances with McCaffrey. He impressed last year. We'll see what he does this year. Um, I mentioned consistency with guys like Joe Mixon and James Conner really come to mind. Um, Year after year, they're able to produce for their teams. Chase Brown last year, he's a guy that is exciting for this year. And then Ashton Genty, probably the best rookie running back prospect since Saquon. Um, I think might even be better than Bijan. Um, so he, I just am not going to give a rookie top 10, but I think there's a very high likelihood he cracks the top 10. But here we go. My top 10 starting off number one, I'm going Saquon Barkley. This is pretty easy. He could have won MVP last year, almost broke the rushing record. He's just one of the best running backs of this generation, right? He had he's slowed down for a year or two with the Giants, but it was a weird situation there in New York a little bit. Um, there's the big playability mixed with how he can um, move around, find holes. He's just might be on a tier of his own, right? The athletic ability that he has. We all saw the freaking backwards hurdle he did last year. So coming off the season he had last year and the priors and the careers, there's no doubt in my mind who the best running back in the league is right now. It is Saquon Barkley. But then at number two, I have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is probably going to be the last running back that we see hit the 10,000 career yard mark, right? We see running backs, there's less and less just true bell cows, a lot more two back systems. Wear and tear on running backs, they just don't last as long anymore in the league. Derrick Henry might be the last guy we see hit 10,000 yards. Surefire Hall of Famer. Um, Age is thought to be a risk with him, but he hasn't slowed down now. He still uh, can pull out a 90-yarder out of his arsenal, out of his back pocket. Pure just bully, hard to bring down. If it wasn't for how amazing Saquon is, Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league. Then at number three, I have apparently he's come out and said his name is Bajan instead of Bijan, so that's going to be hard for me to get used to. But I have Bajan Robinson. Um, I'm gonna for this video. I'm probably gonna say Bijan, so I apologize. But he's coming in. His rookie year, he was really good. Maybe didn't quite live up to the standards that was set for him at such a high bar. But the pure athletic ability that he has, um, the speed mixed with the pure strength, his size, he has all. He's the prototypical running back in today's NFL. I think he's only going to continue to get better and better. I think he will eventually become that Saquon tier if he keeps progressing. But right now, um, even with him, a lot of people want us to talk about it's ceiling, but I still think just off of talent and production, he is the third best running back in the NFL already. Then at number four, this one is tough because I try to not think about injuries too much or situation and just talk about the pure skill. But with this guy, you kind of have to factor in injuries. I have Christian McCaffrey. Now, when he's healthy, he is probably the one that I would say would give Saquon the run for his money for best back in the league. Uh, as far as he combines elite receiving abilities with his elite running ability, he's a one of one when he's at his very best. So he's bumped down a couple spots just because of uh, the injury last year. And running back, this is more of a carryover than quarterback. So like in the last video I talked about, I don't see Dak Prescott falling off too much, but McCaffrey, the running back position, ankle or Achilles tendonitis is not something that just goes away, right? So he thought he was going to be healthy last year. I hope he's back for the sake of football. McCaffrey is one of the most fun players to watch. So I have him at number four, but I still think he's a kind of like this top tier of running backs in the NFL. At number five, I have a guy whose production doesn't quite rival the other guys, but pure talent and abilities, he's just on par. I have Jahmyr Gibbs. He might be the fastest, like just 0 to 100 speed running back in the NFL. He has insane receiving ability, but the quick twitch of Jahmyr Gibbs, he can pull off every time he touches the ball, you think that there might be an 80-yard touchdown, right? He's one of those guys. Super quick, super shifty. Uh, he splits the backfield a little bit with Montgomery, David Montgomery, who is a very good running back himself. So that's why the production isn't quite there. But when you watch the games, you watch the Lions, there's no denying that he's one of the best, not just one of the best running backs, but one of the best weapons and players in all of football. So number five, I have the Detroit Lions running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. At number six, I have a guy who I think is one of the most underrated players for the last half decade. I have Jonathan Taylor. Um, for his career, he averages about 4.9 yards per carry. He's super consistent. Um, each year, week to week basis, he's going to give you about 80 to 100 yards. But I think he's very underrated. Each year, his long run is at I think at least 50 yards. Like he breaks off big plays each season. Like he's a big play threat. I think one year he had a 49-yard rush was his long, but you get the point, right? Big play threat as well as just the consistent down to down basis. He's one of the guys I think he might be the last guy who you really say he's a true bell cow for their team. He's the guy. So Jonathan Taylor, I think is very good. He's maybe just below those other guys. I love Jonathan Taylor. I have him number six. At number seven, I have a guy who also I think is underrated just because but this guy because he's not necessarily a huge play threat. He doesn't have the receiving accolades. He's not super quick and twitchy. I have Josh Jacobs here. Um, very very good running back for the Packers this last year. His last season in with the Raiders a little disappointing, but other than that, he's been one of the best backs in the league. Uh, one of his years with the Raiders, he was the best running back in the football, right? So like you know that Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs and he has the talent to be there. And also just the touchdown threat that he has. In his career, he's got 3 years, double digit touchdowns. Very solid running back. I think uh one of the better goal line threats. And then he's just gonna get you he's going to get you what you need on a run to run basis. I will say he's not the true big play threat as the other guys, but there's not very many running backs better than Josh Jacobs in the NFL. At number eight, I have a guy who I'm not sure is the best rusher just off of watching film. He has great he has a almost 5 yards per carry during his 3 years career. At number eight, I have James Cook. Uh, now, his touchdown variance has been crazy. He had 2 touchdowns his first year, 2 touchdowns the second year, and then 16 touchdowns, Bill's record last year. But so that'll go down. It's probably somewhere in the middle. But James Cook is an explosive back. Um, Underrated power and explosiveness in his game. Um, he's one of the bigger receiving threats out of the backfield in the league. I love James Cook, a very good weapon for the Bills. Now, this offseason, there's kind of been stories about he wants to reset the running back market. and the Bills don't want to do it. I don't know if he's good enough to really reset the running back market. I don't know if he's that elite tier, but he's a really good tier, right? Um, to me, that's kind of where that break is. I think Jonathan Taylor, like the first couple of guys, one tier, and then you got Josh Jacobs kind of breaking it up right below them, and then with Jacobs, I have James Cook, uh, receiving threat, and I think that's what he brings to the table more so than a lot of guys. He can be such a weapon out of the backfield. At number 9, I have a guy who I personally just love watching. He's one of the guys that is more so just my eyes tell me that he's a very good back. Uh, I have Tony Pollard at number 9. He's not necessarily a touchdown machine because he is smaller frame, right? Very versatile running back though. He can catch out of the backfield. He has explosiveness. Even in Dallas when he wasn't RB1, or he should have been probably, but he was very productive. I love Tony Pollard. I think that he is very underrated. He's very solid. Uh, and like I said, I value consistency out of the running back position a lot more than maybe other positions, because if you have a guy like I think James Cook or maybe a Brees Hall is kind of a good example. One week he might give you 122 touchdowns, but then the next week he's going to have 30 yards off of 15 carries. That's not going to be an issue with Pollard, right? He's going to give you productive um, 15, 20 for 65 to 85 yards. Not eye-popping stats, but he's going to get you the production that you need out of that position. So at number 9, I have Tony Pollard. Then at number 10, I have trouble with this one because he's kind of that eye test versus stats guy. My eye test tells me he's around this range. Um, and it's tough because I have Alvin Kamara at my number 10 spot. I don't think he's the best rusher in the league. Now, I am shocked every time I hear this. He's never had a 1,000 yard rushing season, which to me is mind blowing, right? A guy who's been a perennial Pro Bowler like Alvin Kamara, you would expect him to be a 1,000 yard rusher at least once in his career, but that's never happened. But he's the best receiving back in the NFL. Like some years he rivals his rushing yards with his receiving yards. So Alvin Kamara, I have number 10. Um, he could be higher if he was a little bit better runner. Now maybe that's situational, whatever. I just he's not the most explosive, just straight burst out through the hole. But out of the backfield, when you get him the ball in space, he does make good things happen, right? So number 10 might seem a little low for a guy that we think of as maybe that upper tier, but when I just watch him, just watching him, he doesn't stand out quite as much as a guy like say a Jonathan Taylor or a Jahmyr Gibbs, right? So that's my top 10 running back list. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Comment, let me know who you guys think I left out, who I might missed on, who's too low, who's too high. Um, and then there we go, right? Tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game. Looking forward to some football. Um, love doing these lists. Let me know what you guys want to hear next. If you want to keep doing these lists, I'm going to do receivers next. Um, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, I'll catch y'all.